Alright, all the auto stuff's out, transmission's out, all the rest of that. Now onto the manual side of things. The only thing left for me to pull out now is the auto spigot bush. This is the manual one. You got to get the auto spigot bush out, or pilot bush, before you put anything else on, because it won't work. You got to get the input shaft for the manual box. None of it will work. But anyway, now getting the auto pilot bush out was a real pain in the ass. Tried everything, tried the grease thing, tried getting a bloody cheap puller kit thing to get it out. Absolutely useless. Even heated it, none of that stuff works. So went on eBay, spent $100, got puller kit, proper one for it, and I'll show you how I'm going to get it out with it. It's all pretty simple. Now when you are going to get because I didn't show you another one, you got to get the flex plate off. Now what you're going to do with the flex plate, these bolts are going to be in pretty tight, so get a vice grips or whatever you got, something that you can bite onto this, and when it hits the side of the engine block it won't spin anymore and you can get it out, no drama. That's how I got that one out, pretty easy. While you got the gearbox and everything off, you may as well change the throw-up bearing. This one might not be bad, but may as well change it. Also, the rear main seal, again, no point in messing around, may as well get that off. This clutch was second hand. Well, it came with the manual conversion, but there's, plenty of meat on it. And for my application and the power, it's not really needed for anything else. Flywheel, not glassed up, really, still pretty good. May as well get just get the right clutch alignment tool if you can. You measure up your finger, it could work, but you could be down there for an extra half an hour. We're trying to work out why it just won't work. So yeah, next step is I'll show you how I'm going to get this the autopilot bush out, and we'll chuck on the flywheel, clutch, all the rest of that, and then we'll move on to working out which one we want to do, maybe the clutch pedal or the master or slave, or whichever one. Alright, let's get to it. Alright, with these puller kits it's pretty simple. I went for the slide hammer sort of option they give you. It's normally there, but it's in there. I'll show you in a minute. Pretty simple. The way it works is just slide the 10mm on, and then you put your spanner or ratchet or whatever you want on it, and then you just turn the 10mm, and it opens this up, and when it opens that up it grabs onto it gets put in between the bit between the spigot and the crank, and then on the slider hammer part just pull it out like so. Now I recommend, if you're having a lot of drama getting it out, just invest in one of these pullers. Try to make this easy to see. This is on a slide, and this is in there. It would need to be tightened a bit, but yeah, pretty much simple as that. And I'll try to get recording me pull it out, but we'll see how we go. Got it out, no dramas. All you have to do is, there's really nothing to it. You just give it a few whacks, slide it back, make sure it's lined up straight, and the thing should just come right out. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. Let's get onto the manual spigot. So I've decided to remove the rear main seal first before I do the spigot bush, and pretty much the way I've done it is all around the side here. You can get in here and scrape some of the rubber off the bush, but what I've done is I've made a little makeshift tool which I got in there, and instead of pushing off the crank I bent out and it sort of can hook onto it, and started pulling the rear main seal back a bit and then bending it. So what I'm going to do now is I will try to do this on hand to protect the crank. So I put that in, and now I've done that to protect it. Now I've got a hammer. Now that sounds pretty wild, but if we can find where to put the thing. There we go. Now if you bend it out a bit more, it should just pop straight out. Now obviously, if you don't know, the reason why we changed the rear main seal is because it holds the oil in, some of the oil in, so it's best just to get that out and get that replaced. Simple as that. No marks, no damage on anything, easy as that. Alright, now with the old rear main seal out, we can focus on the new one. Now before we install it, all we're going to do is get a bit of engine oil, motor oil, whatever, cover it in the sides a bit, just so then when we install it, it makes it a little easier. Copper hammer or rubber mallet will be preferred if you're going to put it in, or at least if I was going to put one of these in, because you don't want to warp or bend it or put too much force somewhere which isn't needed and then it's not even, or some crap like that. But you know, it should be all sweet either way. We'll get under there and have a crack at it. Now when it's all sort of in nice and even, just get the rubber mallet. Oops. There you have it. New rear main seal's in, everything's aligned and nice and well. But I'd recommend something, if you're going to do it, put the bottom of the main seal in first, down this end, because it's a bit difficult. You can't exactly get to it with the mallet, and then make sure that sits in flush first, then it'll be a bit easier to work your way up through there. But now that that's in, let's move on to the spigot bush. Alright, this is the manual spigot bush side of things. It's pretty straightforward. Again, just make sure your alignment is straight and it should just go in square. I've had this, covered this one in a bit of oil as well, so just simply make it a bit easier. Then when that's sitting in there, you grab your rubber mallet, wherever that one went. There it is. Ugh. Okay, you won't really be able to see much, but cool, sitting a bit flush now. Okay, it's in. I couldn't really show you how it was a two-handed job. It's pretty simple. I just got a deep socket, like I believe it's like a 15 mils in diameter, but I got a 15 mil socket, deep socket, and just placed it over. I put a bit of cloth over it at the start just to get it moving down. But yeah, so if you can see, sort of has to go right back, and you can see in the back there, there's a little bit where it's going to sit on, a little bit of a lip, so you can't really stuff it up. Just make sure you don't crack it or hit it too hard. Be gentle, take your time, and it's all good. So now I'm going to chuck the flywheel, clutch and pressure plate on, and then we'll go from there. Time for the flywheel to go on. I'm going to have to pause it so I can lift it up and put it on there, but you know, I'll explain all after. It's not that hard at all. Now once again, before you put your flywheel on, if you can, I'm not getting my machine and I'm not getting a new flywheel, just because I know this clutch is only used for 1 or 2 track days, so it's pretty much completely fine. It feels good and there's no glassing, all the rest of that. But if you can, get yours machined, get a new one. If you know, like I said, to save the sake, these little things will pay off in the long run, instead of having to mess around and find out your clutch is slipping but your clutch is fine and it's a flywheel not biting hard enough or something like that. Either way, you know, let's chuck it on. Well, it's on, simple. Now, I don't have flywheel specs or any of that sort of stuff, but you know, I've thrown clutches on in flywheels before, so I'm just gonna wing it and tighten it to what I feel it is. You know, I'm not going to go overkill, but I'm not going to just leave it loose. I'm sure if you go online, type in what, you know, if you get a clutch for a certain car, they'll tell you. But if you are, you know, really concerned about it, jump online, just do a Google search, you'll find it, and it should be no drama. But yeah, so once we get all these bolts in, we'll clamp it down so it doesn't spin and get the breaker bar on there and tighten it all down nicely. Alright, so got it all like locked up and all that, all the bolts. I'm going to be tightening them, you know, crisscross, all the rest of that, so that they can keep it all even. Now it will spin, that's why you're going to have to get some vice grips and clamp one like that, and when it spins it'll hit the side of the block. And you know, like I said, I don't have the torque specs and all that, but you know, I'm just going to go for it. It should be all good. I've never had any dramas doing it that way before. Yeah, flywheel is on fine. Now time for the clutch. Like I said, if you can, just get the right clutch alignment tool. It's gonna make things a hell of a lot easier, as you're about to see. In, hold it there, perfect. Now we can get the, where is it? The pressure plate on. Now the thing with the pressure plate is it's got these couple of dowels down here. You just have to line it up where the dowels are supposed to be aligned on the plate, and it should slip right on. I'd try to give it a go, but there's no point. I'll try with two hands. Alright, as easy as that. Just chuck it on. Down here, down here. Some points of the pressure plate, like they got dowel holes here and here, they didn't line up properly with it, so just spin it around and whatnot and it should be fine. I'm just going to chuck these bolts in, and then pretty much going to do it the exact same way I did the flywheel. I don't have the torque specs or anything like that, but it should be fine. Like I've done it, like I said, I've done it before, but yeah. So from there we'll probably go from here. I guess we'll look on to doing the clutch pedal, brake pedal, and master cylinder. It's probably not the slave until the gearbox is on. But yeah. Onto the clutch pedal, master cylinder. Now the way it works is the clutch master cylinder sits in and then goes all the way down, and then there's a split pin on the side here. It slips in this. It simply works like that. I'm not sure which way I'm going to do it. If I'm going to do the clutch master cylinder first, or I'm going to do the pedal, but what I am going to do first is, last guy who owned this ran all of his speaker wires or whatever through the clutch master sort of port, which is yeah, right there. It's 2 bolts. I'm going to take that off, and then the little flange thing should come off, and all the rest of it should just fall out. So I'm going to have to move this out of the way a bit and then see how we go. But yeah, first we'll get all that out and then we'll get to it. Well, I've got the master mocked up pretty much. It's going in there pretty easy. I took the high pressure hose off to mock it up first and then just chucked it back on. But anyway, so on the outside there'll be 2 of these, and there will be a little flange I've thrown away, and in the car you'll see this on the other side. We'll just rip it out, just whack it, knock it out, it'll come straight out. It's being held in by 2 guides. Now I'm going to do something which sounds pretty ridiculous, but you know, for the sake of not messing around, and you know, I don't want to pull the pedal off, I'm going to cut the pedal. Yes, I know, but I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut it to specs of the standard brake pedal, which is here. Measured up, I think it's 2.5 to the left and 5 to the right. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to do, and it's going to be cool. So I chopped off some of the left side. I went a bit wide just to be safe. I'm going to cut in now. So left side measured out to be from the center part of the pedal 4.5 centimeters, I believe, and then the right side was 2.5. So should be all good. Yeah, gonna keep cutting and see where we go. The clutch pedal is in and connected to the master cylinder. There is 1 bolt here and 1 bolt there on the master cylinder. Now, I did disconnect the hydraulic hose from the master cylinder just because it makes it a lot easier on installation, but now it's all good. I did have a bit of drama putting the clutch pedal in, but I'll show you guys the easiest way I found to install it. Now when you go to install it, you're going to see this bracket here, and this bracket will be getting in the way of these 2 bolts that are in the clutch pedal because they guide it out to the master cylinder. When you try to install it, it won't fit, it won't work, it will just keep hitting the air conditioning vent. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab onto it with some pliers. It's only tack welded on there, and just move it back and forth, back and forth. It will come off, and then when you have that out, take the clutch pedal out, and then you can put the clutch bolts through this guide and then put it all in as 1 unit. Yes, you still got to put it in and mess around a little bit, but it's a hell of a lot easier than doing it without taking this guide off, this bracket off. I also cut some of the soundproofing off the car to make it a little easier for myself. Same with up the top. There is 1 more bolt up the top of this clutch pedal, which you also have to, don't forget to bolt up. And then when you're done that, you can push this out and then push the master cylinder in, connect it up with the split pin, and then you should be good to go. But just remember, the easiest way I found was take this off, put it through the bolts, put the bolts through the guides, then put it back in as 1 unit. If you have to, cut some of this soundproofing stuff off to make it a bit easier. But other than that, it's as simple as just persisting and getting it done.